Greetings fellow Whovians and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. Last year I did season 24 ranked video, so basically ranking the stories from worst to best, and it's safe to say that season 24 of Classic Who is not a vintage year for Doctor Who. There was a lot of changes going on, not just in front of the camera with it being Sylvester McCoy's first season as the 7th Doctor, but also behind the scenes with a new script editor in Andrew Cartmel, but kind of adopting some of the stories as he was trying to just get his feet on the table, so to speak. And yeah, the stories, they were a little bit sort of kiddish, a little bit cartoonish in terms of their style. A lot less violence was going into the stories and kind of more sort of pratfalls and really sort of homing in on Sylvester McCoy's sort of comedy background and letting him be sort of more of a pratfall character. However, season 25, comparing it to season 24, is night and day. There's a lot more going on in season 25. Andrew Cartmel manages to start bringing his own ideas and his own narrative for the 7th Doctor. We get a more sort of darker Doctor, more of a manipulator rather than the sort of comedy pratfalls. We get a new companion in Ace, played by Sophie Aldred. That's her first full season as the new companion for the 7th Doctor. And yeah, there's some fantastic stories out there for that season. 4 of them in total. But which one comes out on top? Well, please hit the subscribe button. This is season 25 of Classic Doctor Who Ranked. Number 4, and this is easily going to divide a lot of Whovians' opinions. It's The Happiness Patrol. As I've said at the start of this video, this is quite a strong season for classic Doctor Who compared to season 24. So we've got to rank something somewhere. And granted, this story has got a lot going on for it. It's definitely probably up there as one of the top stories maybe in Classic Who, because of its political outlook in the story, and definitely in the era of Margaret Thatcher in Great Britain, to a point where really how the BBC got away with it, or at the very least, you know, it kind of showed the lack of care for Doctor Who from the BBC, because if the higher ups are really paying attention, no way would they have broadcast this, especially if you put that on today's standards of BBC being impartial. No way would they have got away with this story, with pretty much ripping the Tory party and Margaret Thatcher. But you know, it is a strong story in that respect. Some great casting going on there, from some fantastic character acting work as well. Everyone really does play their part, including Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. Obviously, it has the iconic Fifi and the even more strangely iconic Candyman. Again, how the BBC didn't get sued for millions of pounds from Bertie Bassett and only got a polite "please don't use that character again" is beyond me. But for me personally, as much as there is so much going on and it is a fascinating story, which I do recommend that you check out, personally for me, it just leaves me cold. I just can't get into this story whatsoever, even though I like all the messages behind the story. I think sort of part of it is with it being just more or less studio bound, where the rest of the season looked absolutely glorious with some fantastic location work, which I'll get into later in this video. But it's just, there's just no rhyme or reason to it. It's just a personal choice from me. Sadly, this ranks bottom for season 25. Number 3, Silver Nemesis. This was the story that was to be celebrating 25 years of Doctor Who. So to have a silver anniversary, we've got to have some silver giants in the Cybermen. And not only that, we had neo-Nazis. Not only that, we had someone from 200 years in, oh no, even further than that, wasn't it? 400 years from the past to basically haunt the Doctor. And On the surface, I don't want to go too much into this because I'm going to review this later on this year as part of the 60th anniversary celebrations of Doctor Who. But to me, this is kind of like a sort of poor version of a story that we will get to in this video. I think we all know where it's going, because it has a very similar sort of plot beats. But this is still a fun story to watch. I do like the look of the Cybermen, apart from the gloves. They look like massive, giant silver banana fingers. But, I mean, David Banks, this is the final performance of David Banks as the Cyber Leader, televised Cyber Leader. And, yeah, the Cybermen look great. A little bit maybe too silvery with the sort of glossy makeup. But the action sequence at the start of part 2 of Silver Nemesis is fantastic. Some brilliant stunt work and just production work throughout classic Doctor Who. Again, great performances from the cast involved. Particular shout out to Fiona Walker as Lady Painfault. She was fantastic there, and I love the little dropping of seeds of bringing back the mystery of the Doctor and her revealing she knows who he is all along, and sort of Ace having to put her faith in the Doctor, as well as just all out battles with the Cybermen. That's always a good thing. I think this would have been better as a 4-part story rather than a 3-part story, just to really flesh out these characters and flesh out the story, and if anything, maybe change it from the plot beats to another story that we'll get to. Number 2, the greatest show in the galaxy. Again, it's just one of those, how the Happiness Patrol made me feel cold, this one I just sort of draw to when it comes to Seventh Doctor stories. I just find it quite fascinating. I love the sort of the fear of clowns that Ace has. Again, just bringing on Ace as a character, having to deal with quite a lot of emotional stuff in season 25 of Doctor Who, and obviously the Seventh Doctor taken under his wing. The outdoor location work looks fantastic of this desolate planet, and then we get into the circus itself. Now, originally, this was all going to be a studio-based circus ring, and if it was anything like the Happiness Patrol, that could have been more of a disadvantage for him. But fun fact, there was an asbestos scare at BBC Studios at the time. So cunningly, John Nathan Turner managed to erect a big circus tent in the BBC Elm Street studio car park where they were filming EastEnders, and managed to do all the indoor shots in this big massive tent. And it made it so much more atmospheric. It just played more onto the strengths than having it all set in a studio. There are so many memorable characters for the greatest show in the galaxy as well. WizKid, who I think is Andrew Cartmell's teasing way of writing for a diehard Doctor Who fan. Captain Cook, Mags. Wow, I mean the cliffhanger for Mags in part 3 is amazing and quite terrifying, but in a non sort of over the top violent way that again was part of the Doctor Who remit from season 24 onwards. And not forgetting, of course, the chief clown, just a menacing figure, really sort of haunting and playing on people's fears of clowns. And the Doctor even more so playing on Ace's fear of clowns as well, really showing the sort of the manipulative nature of this Seventh Doctor persona. And number 1, Remembrance of the Daleks. It had to be, hadn't it? It's just, again, probably one of the top classic Doctor Who stories, if not one of the top Doctor Who stories of all time. You've got 2 Dalek factions, the Imperial Daleks and the Renegade Daleks, battling it out for supremacy and the control of the Hand of Omega, tying it all in for a 25-year history of Doctor Who. I really appreciate how much that they managed to do a lot of nods and references to the 25-year history of Doctor Who, such as Coal Hill School, French Revolution, the device to kind of weaken the Daleks that the Doctor used on Spyrigan. So you had like continuity history, especially with the rivalry of the Daleks, but also pushing the stories forward. Like I said, with the Daleks as well, going for total supremacy, really sort of changing the Doctor's persona and being one to sort of fix the problems of time, and also obviously introducing Ace as a new companion and bringing on her sort of emotional baggage that was having for Ace to deal with falling in love with the sergeant, as well as taking on the Daleks with that infamous baseball bat. On the surface, it's just all-out action, lots of explosions, something that even Michael Bay would be proud of. And just underneath the surface, there are all the sort of stories of racial purity and prejudices, all the crazed ideologies of the aftermath of the Second World War being sort of brought into focus in this story. If you haven't watched it before, please do go out your way, check it out, watch it now or after this video, because you will not be disappointed. It is just a top story, full of action, full of drama, and like I said, just pushing the adventure forward with the Seventh Doctor and Ace, and that's why this is my number one pick for season 25. Do you agree or disagree with my list? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to see your ranked order from worst to best. And also let me know which season of classic Doctor Who or even modern Doctor Who would you like me to rank in the future. Next time on Timey Wimey Review, I'll be going back to the Sarah Jane adventures by reviewing the two-part story, The Death of the Doctor. Until then, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Twitter @ReviewTimey. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who content on the Timey Wimey Review TikTok page and right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. And as the good doctor once said, oh, we're more than good, we're ace.